Welcome to Deep Dive Stories, where we explore the world's most intriguing mysteries. Today, we are looking at what might be the single greatest cold case in aviation history.
The disappearance of Amelia Earhart and her navigator, Fred Noonan, in 1937.
Exactly. For decades, the whole story has been just mired in folklore, speculation. But today, we're going to dig into the hard evidence.
We really are. We've got a compelling stack of source material here. Recently declassified Navy logs, radio transcripts, competing archaeological finds.
And the plans for a new, incredibly high-tech expedition that is happening right now.
That's the key.
So our mission is to move past the myths. We're going to unpack the three main theories about their fate.
And we'll explain why all this converging data, this historical and scientific evidence, has focused the search on one very specific location.
A location that could finally hold the wreckage of her Lockheed Electra 10E.
To really get the weight of this, you have to go back to the beginning, to the scene of the tragedy.
July 2nd, 1937.
Right. Earhart is 39. She and Noonan take off from Lae, New Guinea. This was it, the longest, the most dangerous leg of their attempt to fly around the world.
And their destination was, it's almost a navigational absurdity. Howland Island?
It's hard to even imagine. The descriptions call it a dot barely 2 feet above sea level.
Tiny. It's just over a mile long, half a mile wide, and it's 2,550 miles away from where they started. They were flying on the absolute edge of their fuel.
And, Fred Noonan was a master. He was probably the most capable transoceanic navigator of his time.
But it didn't matter how good he was.
Well, the whole flight depended on precision celestial navigation. Their only real lifeline was a Coast Guard cutter, the USCGC Itasca, waiting for them near the island.
Trying to give them radio direction.
Trying, yes. And when you read the Itasca's radio logs from those final hours, it's genuinely agonizing.
It really is. Around 6:04 over Cordes in the morning, they report being 200 miles out. But then the sun rises, communications get worse, You can just feel the stress.
And then you get the last critical confirmed transmission. It comes in at 1912 GMT.
It's cryptic, but it's so important.
It is. She says, "We are on the line, 157, 337 well-repped MSG, we repped it."
So for anyone listening, what does that line 157, 337 actually mean?
It establishes a line of position, an LOP. It basically told the searchers a bearing. They were flying along. They were on the right path.
But it didn't tell them where on that path they were.
Exactly. They had the bearing, but they just could not see that tiny island.
And then comes the very last message, the one that just cements the whole tragedy.
"We must be on you, but we cannot see you. Fuel is running low. We are flying at 1,000 feet.
And after that,
Just static.
silence. The response was immediate, and it was huge.
Oh, immense. The U.S. government launched what was, for its time, the largest search and rescue operation in history.
They brought in the Navy's biggest assets, the carrier USS Lexington, the battleship USS Colorado.
The planes from the Colorado alone searched over 150,000 square miles of ocean.
But despite all that, the official verdict from the Navy came back pretty quick, and it was clean.
Concise is the word, crash and sink.
Crash and sink. They ran out of fuel, ditched the plane near Howland, and it sank into the deep Pacific. Case closed.
It was an unsatisfying answer, but it was an answer.
But when you start digging into the declassified archives, that clean narrative, it starts to fray.
It really does. First, if they crashed and sank so quickly, why were radio signals from an active transmitter still being picked up?
By Pan Am stations, right?
Yes, until July 5th. That's 3 days after they supposedly crashed into the ocean. That suggests survival on land.
And that's not even the most critical part. The Navy's own search pilots.
Oh.
Their logs contain some really strange notes.
Ambiguities, yeah. Pilots flying over an island called Gardner Island, today it's known as Nikomaro, they noted fire marks.
Or signs of habitation.
Right, on an island that was officially uninhabited. So if the official theory is a crash near Howland, why are your own pilots seeing signs of life hundreds of miles away?
And this is where the real investigation begins. That discrepancy between the official story and these odd observations, it opened the door for new theories.
It forced everyone to look at both the geopolitical and the archaeological evidence.
Okay, so let's start with the one that's steeped in myth. Theory A, they were captured by the Japanese.
This one is very cinematic. The idea is they didn't crash at sea, but were forced down in Japanese-controlled territory, maybe the Marshall Islands.
And then captured, imprisoned, maybe even executed as spies.
This theory had and still has a lot of power, not because of hard evidence, but because of the political climate of the late 1930s.
Tensions between the US and Japan were already incredibly high.
So the idea of a cover-up, it resonated with the public and even in some political circles.
This theory even produced its own supposed smoking gun, didn't it? A photograph.
Yes, a photo that supposedly showed a captured Earhart and Noonan on a dock in Jaluit Atoll. It was passed around for years as the proof.
But what's really crucial for you to understand is that this piece of evidence, this photo...
It was proven to be completely fraudulent.
How so?
Investigators found the original source. The photograph was published in a book in 1935, a full 2 years before the flight even took off.
So impossible.
Utterly impossible. And beyond that, we have documents showing the Japanese government expressing condolences and actually helping with the search in 1937. The capture theory is dramatic, but the evidence just isn't there.
Which brings us to Theory B, the Nikomaro castaway hypothesis.
And this is the one that presents the most consistent, the most compelling body of circumstantial evidence.
The idea here is much more plausible. That Noonan navigated them to a forced landing on the flat coral reef of Nikomaro.
And that they survived, at least for a little while, before perishing on the island.
The artifacts that support this theory are they're incredible. They were found in 1940, 3 years after the disappearance.
By a British colonial administrator, a man named Gallagher. He found partial human remains, heavily scavenged by coconut crabs, and alongside them, some very telling objects.
And these objects are so specific, so persuasive.
They found part of the sole of a woman's shoe. The style and size were consistent with the kind of shoes Earhart was known to wear.
They also found a Benedictine liqueur bottle,
which points strongly to American or European supplies. It's not something you'd expect to find on an uninhabited Pacific atoll.
But the real kicker, the direct link to the flight, was a small box.
A box inscribed with 2 inventory numbers, 3500 and 1542.
And that matches what?
It matches the records for a Navy surveying sextant box. The exact kind of professional instrument that a transoceanic navigator like Fred Noonan would have used.
A woman's shoe, a non-native bottle, and a navigator's toolkit. That's a lot to dismiss as coincidence.
It's almost impossible. But there was a problem, a forensic controversy that stalled this theory for decades.
The original analysis of the bones.
Exactly. Back in 1940, a doctor examined the partial remains and concluded they belonged to a robust, middle-aged man.
Which would seem to rule out Earhart entirely.
It did for a long time, but that conclusion was based on the limited forensic methods they had in the 1940s.
And modern science has taken another look.
A very different look. Researchers applied contemporary forensic techniques, statistical modeling, and their findings fundamentally challenged the original analysis.
What did they find?
They found the measurements of the bones were far more consistent with a person of Earhart's stature, specifically a white female of medium height.
So the one piece of evidence that disproved the theory has now been, it's been flipped on its head.
It's been neutralized, at the very least. So now you have post-loss radio signals, Navy pilots seeing fire marks, very specific artifacts linking to both of them, and a modern forensic analysis that fits.
The evidence is all pointing in one direction.
It's all converging, and that's why the focus has shifted from historical debate to active on-site investigation.
The time for arguing about the past is over.
The time for geophysical resolution has begun. The entire academic focus now is on one thing: a specific visual anomaly in Nikomaro's shallow lagoon.
An anomaly known as the Taraya object.
Yes. And what makes the Taraya object so significant is its timeline. This isn't something that just showed up.
It's visible in recent satellite images from 2020.
But it was also visible in aerial photographs taken in 1938.
Just 1 year after the plane disappeared.
1 year. The implication is staggering. A large, unusual object has been sitting in that exact spot since the time of the loss.
And this is where the science really takes over. There's a major expedition underway right now, the Taraya Object Expedition.
It's being led by Purdue University, which has a powerful connection to Earhart and the Archaeological Legacy Institute, or ALI.
This expedition feels like the culmination of everything. All 88 years of searching.
It is. A 15-person crew just sailed 1,200 nautical miles from Majuro to get there, and they are equipped with some serious technology.
What's the plan? How do they investigate it?
It's very systematic.
Yeah.
They start with ultra-high-resolution video and imagery, then they move to remote sensing magnetometers, side-scan sonar to detect any metal under the seabed.
But the thing that really sets this expedition apart is that they're prepared for physical recovery.
That's the crucial step. If the remote sensing pings a target that matches the size and shape of a Lockheed Electra, they're ready to excavate.
With what?
A hydraulic dredge, to carefully remove the layers of sand and coral and expose the object for what it is.
This removes all the ambiguity. No more interpreting old photos or faint radio signals.
Exactly. As Richard Pettigrew of ALI said, finding the wreckage there would be the smoking gun proof. It would offer final, definitive closure.
It's just remarkable, isn't it, to go from searching 150,000 square miles of open ocean in 1937
To inspecting a single anomaly in a shallow lagoon today. It really shows this persistent global drive to solve this thing.
But as we sit here, on the verge of a possible answer, it feels important to reflect on why this mystery has held on for so long.
I agree. Earhart was a monumental figure, a true pioneer, an advocate who was constantly showing the world what women can do.
And the intense focus on how she died, while it's natural, it does risk overshadowing the incredible way she lived.
It does. Her accomplishments were extraordinary.
So whether this expedition finds the Electra or not, the endurance of the search itself has become part of her legend. The quest for what happened in those final desperate hours. It really defines the power of the unknown.
And our collective unwavering need for answers to history's biggest questions.
If you enjoyed this deep dive, follow and subscribe for more mysteries every week.